If you're 26 years old and you have £20,000 saved in Britain today, you are closer to financial freedom than most people realize. But the next decision you make could be worth tens of thousands of pounds, or cost you tens of thousands, because £20,000 is not the destination, it is the door, and almost everyone who reaches it makes the same mistake. They stop, not completely. They still save a little, still work, still tell themselves they are being responsible, but the urgency disappears, the momentum fades, and without realizing it, they spend the next decade standing still. My name is Wojak, and today I want to show you the 3 wealth thresholds that come after £20,000, because the first threshold changes how you think. The next 3 change how money behaves, and once you understand them, you will never look at saving the same way again. To explain this, let me introduce you to Marcus and James. Both are 26. Marcus lives in Leeds, James lives in Birmingham. They earn the same salary, £32,000 a year. They rent similar flats, work similar jobs, and in the same month of the same year, both reach £20,000 in savings. Both feel proud, both feel secure, and both believe they have made it through the hardest part. But 1 month later, they make completely different decisions. 10 years later, the gap between them is so large that Marcus genuinely struggles to believe the number when he sees it. Before we get to that number, we need to understand why most people never make it there. When you reach a major goal, your brain rewards you. The tension that pushed you forward disappears. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. Finished goals release mental pressure, and that is exactly what happens at £20,000. The problem is not that people become lazy. The problem is that they become comfortable. Comfort feels harmless, but in wealth building, comfort is often where progress quietly dies. Not with failure, not with a dramatic collapse, with a slowdown so gradual that nobody notices it happening until a decade has already passed. The first major threshold after £20,000 is £50,000. This is where compound interest stops being an abstract idea and starts feeling real. At £20,000, a 7% annual return generates roughly £117 a month. Useful, but easy to ignore. At £50,000, that same return produces about £293 every month. Enough to cover a bill, enough to notice, enough to feel like a second engine has started running beneath your finances. This is where Marcus made his mistake. After reaching £20,000, he kept most of his money in an easy access savings account, earning around 1.2%. It felt safe. After all, £20,000 felt like serious money, and serious money should be protected. But there is a problem. In the years that followed, energy bills doubled. Grocery inflation hit nearly 20% in a single year. The number in Marcus's savings account barely moved, but what that number could actually buy got smaller every single month. He was not standing still. He was sliding backward, and the worst part is he felt responsible the entire time. He checked the account. He saw the number. He felt secure. None of that changed the fact that inflation was quietly, invisibly winning. James made a different choice. The month he reached £20,000, he opened a stocks and shares ISA. He kept an emergency fund aside, then invested the rest into a low-cost global index fund. No stock picking, no day trading, no financial genius required, just a simple standing order of £400 a month. James understood something Marcus did not. £20,000 is not the goal, it is the seed. And seeds do not grow in vaults. They grow when they are planted, inside the ISA. Every dividend and every gain compounded, sheltered from HMRC, permanently free from capital gains tax, free from dividend tax, not deferred, not reduced, gone from their reach entirely. His money finally had room to work. Then comes the second threshold, £100,000. Charlie Munger famously said, "The first 100,000 is a nightmare," not because the number itself matters, but because of what happens once you reach it. At £100,000, a 7% annual return produces roughly £583 every month. Think about that for a moment. That is money arriving whether you are asleep, at work, on holiday, or sitting at home watching television. Your money has effectively taken a part-time job. And unlike people, it never gets tired. It never asks for a raise. It never calls in sick. It does not take annual leave. It does not have a difficult week. Below 100,000 pounds. Wealth. Wealth is mostly built through effort. Above 100,000 pounds, wealth increasingly grows through structure. The system begins carrying itself forward, and that is exactly what happened to James, month after month, year after year. The standing order went out on the first of every month. The investments compounded. The process became automatic. By age 36, James's portfolio had grown to just over 107,000 pounds. His monthly investment returns were generating 625 pounds before he added a single new pound of his own. Marcus, who spent a decade keeping his money safe in an account that quietly lost ground to inflation, had 28,000 pounds. The difference was not intelligence. It was not luck. It was not background or opportunity or timing. It came from one decision, made 1 month after reaching 20,000 pounds. But there is one final threshold, and almost nobody talks about it, 200,000 pounds, because this is where something remarkable happens. At 200,000 pounds, a 7% annual return generates around 14,000 pounds a year. That is more than many people in this country manage to save from their salaries in a full year of working. For the first time, your investments contribute more growth than your own efforts. Your capital begins doing more work than your labor. The machine becomes stronger than the fuel you are feeding into it. James is not there yet, but the direction is set and the trajectory is clear. Marcus never will be, not because he lacks ability or intelligence or ambition, but because the gap that opened quietly when they were both 26 has now compounded into something that cannot be closed by discipline alone. The time that Marcus spent feeling safe is the same time that James spent building a system. Those 10 years cannot be reclaimed. Most people never experience the 200,000 pound threshold, not because it is impossible, but because they stopped after the first milestone. They treated the door as the destination and never stepped through it. The discipline that got you to 20,000 pounds is valuable. But discipline alone will not get you to 100,000 or 200,000. After the first threshold, the question changes. It is no longer how much can I save? It is where is my money positioned? Is it compounding productively inside an ISA, working around the clock, sheltered from HMRC, growing whether you are watching it or not? Or is it sitting still while inflation quietly and invisibly erodes its value month by month? Marcus and James were both 26. Both in British cities, both on ordinary salaries, both proud of the same milestone. 10 years later, one owns a system that works around the clock. The other still relies almost entirely on his own time and effort. The difference began with a single decision. If you are 26 right now and you have 20,000 pounds saved, you are exactly where Marcus and James were on the day this story begins. The milestone is the same. The pride is the same. The feeling of having made it through the hardest part is the same. The only thing that differs is what you do in the month that follows. 20,000 pounds was the moment you stopped drowning, but you are still in the water. The shore is ahead. The current is real, and compound interest is one of the most powerful forces available to ordinary people in this country, if they give it enough time and point it in the right direction. So set the next threshold. Open the ISA. Start the standing order, plant the seed, then let time do the heavy lifting. Because the biggest mistake people make is not failing to reach the door. It is reaching it, feeling the relief of arrival, and forgetting that a door is only useful if you walk through it. Subscribe if you want to keep building. In the next video, we go deeper into the architecture of wealth, and I will see you there.